Welcome to Lassoing Leadership. I'm your host, Jason Rogers.
It's great to be back with you, Jason. I'm Garth Nichols. This is season 2 of the podcast. We're diving into an individual episode of the hit TV series Ted Lasso to learn more about how to lead in a better, kinder, and more compelling way. We've created this podcast out of our love of learning, leadership, and of course, Lasso. We feel very fortunate to have shared our journey with listeners like you and many special guests as well.
And one of our big learnings for us personally in season 1 was that we have our own blind spots. So you can look forward to more guests to help us expand our perspective on leadership. We aim for no more than around 20 minutes per episode where we talk about our favorite characters of the episode, leadership nuggets of gold. We also take a stab at renaming each episode just for fun. And then we leave you with a leadership challenge based on our learnings from this episode.
Yeah. And with each episode, we'd love to hear what our listeners are saying. Jason, what have you heard so far?
I want to share a bit of a conversation we had with a fellow podcaster earlier this week, all the way from Michigan. It was pretty good. While researching for this podcast, you and I went ahead and listened to dozens of other podcasts on the topic of leadership and Lasso. And there's actually quite a few podcasts around Lasso out there.
More than you'd think.
Absolutely, right? And we were lucky enough to stumble across one titled Teaching Like Ted Lasso. In particular, if you're a math teacher out there, I think this has particular significance, but if you love design thinking or thinking about teaching methodology, this is worth tuning into. And we loved it so much, we reached out directly to one of the co-hosts, David Coffey, and we've been working on a collaboration. We hope that that'll come out by the end of March, but even bigger than that, David was kind enough to share a little bit about his leadership and how our podcast has helped him reframe leadership and inspires him to take greater professional responsibility in his own life. And I think that's a pretty cool outcome. I love that conversation. I can hardly wait for this collaboration to come to light. Hey, Garth?
Yeah, it was a very cool conversation. And it's always interesting when someone else who is in the sort of same realm, like doing similar things, takes such a different approach to it. So hopefully we can send some of our listeners over to that Teaching Like Ted Lasso. And it's been really special to hear from some of our colleagues and friends that they've enjoyed bonus episodes. And that's what this collaboration will be when it comes out. And we've done a couple of bonus episodes. So one listener commented that they really loved our episode with Marco Carducci, bringing in the perspective.
Best. Totally.
Yeah, bringing in the perspective of a professional athlete, how he deals with pressure, how he not only grew up in the game, but how he still is able to love it.
Yeah,
and learn more from it. And in fact, it reminds me of a great quote, sort of moment from Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant for me is like such a great leader. Kobe Bryant was being interviewed, and when asked, the interviewer set him up to be like, some players play because they love to win. Some players play because they hate to lose. Which one are you, Kobe?
Interesting.
And he responded, I'm neither. I play to learn. I play to learn more about myself. I play to learn more about the game. And it was a real honor to the game. That's what he played for. Yeah.
That's wicked.
And I think there's a bit of Ted Lasso in that too.
Oh, and it reminds me of you, Garth. You always say, basketball won the game or leadership won the game. That's a Garthism, if you will.
Oh, thanks, buddy. Anyway, so thanks to our listeners. Keep the feedback coming, and super interested in what you have to take from each of these episodes along with us.
Great. Let's jump in, Garth. Give us episode summary. What did you see here for our listeners?
Yeah, thanks. This episode is called Midnight Train to Royston, and it's sort of a callback to an amazing song, Midnight Train to Georgia. And there's a line in that Midnight Train to Georgia. I'd rather live in his world than live without him in mine. And I think this is a real theme to this episode. I mean, I'm getting a bit deep here, but what in this we see the characters, like, what are the worlds that they want to create? What are we willing to sacrifice? Are we willing to live in the world of someone else just to be with that person? All those types of things. So in this episode, Sam is offered a career-changing opportunity leading to dilemmas with Rebecca. Nate's frustrations and unacknowledged contributions cause him to act impulsively. Roy and Keeley share a very intimate moment about who they have been in the presence of others and how others have been with them in their presence. And then Ted deals with Sharon's departure, all that not too well. And also at the end of the episode learns about Nate's betrayal.
What a moment, right? When the article comes over and it's disclosed that Nate is an anonymous source.
And that it's done by text. It's so interesting. Anyway,
Nice work,
let's jump
Garth.
in.
Nice work.
Who's your favorite in this episode? Let me guess. No, I'm not going to.
No surprise. No surprise, Garth. It's Roy Kent. And Roy continues to become more emotionally aware. His journey is absolutely remarkable. Early in this episode, in a comical moment, he grapples with some feedback around his crazy eyebrows. Now, it's all in jest, but I actually think he's deeply considering his nonverbal cues that he may be giving off. And I love that he's vulnerable enough to talk to others and ask for advice from his friends and colleagues. But personally, my favorite moment, and I think everybody shares this who's seen this episode, is near the end when he and Keely are at a photo shoot and they're sharing truths on the couch while the lights flash around them. Back and forth they go, sharing their darkest, deepest secrets. And what I love about it most is the way they sit patiently, quietly, listening and accepting the, infallible nature of each other. But also in those silent moments, they agree that they'll be there to support each other through it all. And in the end, Keely is feeling pretty bad about herself, and Roy has the emotional intelligence come over, get right to her level. We've talked about that before, and say the real you is effing amazing. And we all need that person in our lives. And Roy really goes to show that he is that person for Keely. Man, that's real leadership and friendship. So good.
Yeah.
What about you, Garth?
Well, thanks for that. I mean, Roy was really great in this episode. It was a tough one for me, but I'm going to go back to Ted.
Yeah, good.
Actually, maybe just like Jason Sudeikis, or maybe both, because when the character of Ted Lasso reads that letter from Dr. Sharon Fieldstone, after saying, I'm never going to read this letter, and then he's asking her questions, and she keeps saying, it's in the letter. It's in the letter. And when he reads that letter, that is some excellent acting right there. Anger to joy. I love that he points out you spelled favorite wrong. All these things. And then in the end, there's like that he is demonstrating what it looks, sounds, and like feels like to be vulnerable. And then he's able to mend his feelings, like his anger, his disappointment, and his trauma too. Right? He comes to face with his trauma again. And he's able to heal his relationship with Sharon and then leave on terms that suits them. And I love that he buys her a drink, puts the army character in the drink. And I think that shows like real growth, that growth isn't always linear, that he still has these troubles with managing his emotions and his feelings. But the turnaround, like the wrestling with it is quicker and it's more effective. So, and I love that he leaves her with this army figure again. It's a real totem of care and belief in their relationship, as it was with Jamie and with Rebecca too.
I think, for our listeners, they've got to go back and watch this episode if you haven't watched. If you're just listening and thinking back to it, this is a really understated, undervalued episode. It is so deep and rich. So get back to it and give it a watch if you have a chance. And I love the way that you brought the acting and actor together. That's impressive. Garth, you ready? Are we ready to move on?
No, actually, not just yet. I'm going to steal one of your plays.
Just one more thing, yeah.
I do have to comment on the music in this episode because, again, we've talked about it before, but the final song in particular, "Karma Police" by Radiohead, one of my favorite bands, one of my favorite albums, and I think that the soundtrack of this episode is really special.
Yeah, I agree with that, Garth. Actually, in my car, I've had a Spotify playlist that chronicles this whole season playing, and it does it in order. I'm going to share it in the show notes. And it's just on repeat right now. And this episode in particular is stacked. I agree about Radiohead. Oh my God, just how they end the show on that song. And Bye 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 by NSYNC.
Yep, that it plays a pivotal role in this, but also
Huge.
like it's the penultimate episode, right?
Yep.
Then we've got "Gut and Heart" by Marcus Mumford and Tom Howe.
Yeah, we got "Cold Mess" by Praki Kuda.
And finally, "Karma Police" by Radiohead. And again, I love this song. It's fitting for the situation. You kind of want to hate Nate, but at the same time, I'm so overwhelmed by feeling bad for him. That he would lash out and do this. So I think this song sets the mood, tone as a real harbinger of things to come.
You actually forgot one of my favorite bands, and Wilco is in this as well. Love is everywhere, and it's so fitting. But that's it, right, Garth? You ready?
I think
ready
now?
Now?
Yes. Let's jump into the leadership lessons. Jason, lead us off.
Okay, so here we go. I can't help but think about this dance lesson with NSYNC. There's only one thing I'm more afraid of than karaoke, and it's dance. But they
With
do the
live
bye, bye,
singing.
bye. Yeah. Choreographed.
Yeah.
I think there's three lessons to be learned in this moment. First, coming together to learn a new skill is an amazing team building experience. Second, this team building experience is built around gratitude for someone else, someone who they care about, Sharon. It opens the door to deep risk taking, teamwork, and collaboration. And third, there's a sharing of vulnerability in this experience that's only established because one, they're doing a new skill, and two, they're doing it to pass along gratitude to somebody they care about. So I really think these elements come together to deepen trust and build stronger teams. What did you see, Garth?
Well, that's amazing. That was a great summary, and I just want to highlight that when everyone's learning a new skill, like you're all at the same level, like playing
Yeah.
field, if you will. So I love that. What I saw was actually in the title of the song here, "Bye Bye Bye." I saw lessons in offboarding. As a leader, this will inevitably happen where you need to help others find a different path.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll notice I'm not using the word like fire or dismiss here, right?
Yeah.
I really like how, when Sharon is leaving, and she's leaving, but she leaves without saying goodbye, but she leaves these notes. I really like how when Ted confronts her, Sharon attributes to Ted that he made her a better doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Also that Ted tells Sharon she's not ready for her to leave. And so she's open to working together to say goodbye in a really well way.
Yeah, I think this is articulated really well throughout the episode. These are hearty and heavy moments. I really appreciate that you brought that up, Garth. In your experience as a leader, have you ever had to experience this or help people find a different path?
Yeah. I have. It's never easy.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually pretty messy. Not bad messy, but there's always feelings of grief.
Yeah.
That people will miss where they work or that people will be missed. Sometimes shame,
Mm-hmm.
if they're being offboarded because they're not a good fit for the role. And obviously feelings of excitement if they're going on to do something bigger and better and all those things. So yeah, it's very emotional. And I think what I like about this episode is it captures it in two different ways. One is the experience between Ted and Sharon, and the other is between Roy and Keeley when they're sitting
Mm-hmm.
on that couch. And some
Mm-hmm.
people just need a little bit of time. And that moment where the light bulbs are flashing, and they're just sitting there staring into space. So it gives a couple of different perspectives in how to say goodbye well. Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, I think it's inevitable. I think that's just the nature of the work is, to your point, you see people leaving for good and sometimes not so good reasons. I remember in my master's program, and this was in the early 2000s, I read an article about when people are failing at work. And essentially what the author studied was the happiness of people before and after they were offboarded from a teaching job in particular. And what they found was that their overall wellness and happiness almost always improved once they went on to find a role that was better fit for them. And these are obviously always challenging decisions that will test your leadership skills, tug at your heart, challenge your mind. Man, leadership's really, really hard, Garth. I think that's the takeaway. That's what I'm learning here.
I think you're right. I think you're right. But there are some strategies. And I have learned a key one, which I'm sure you already know.
Let me hear it, Garth.
It's basically like hire well and hire slowly.
Right.
Take the time to make sure that you're not only hiring the right people, but also that the people know as much as they can about the role. So you are interviewing them, but they are also interviewing you, the organization. Let them know about your leadership. Talk to them about your expectations, the way that you will challenge the people in that role, because that's a huge part of meaningful purpose is to constantly to have that challenge, but also how you'll support them, and that you're trying to, through this interview and hiring process, eliminate surprises, or dare I say, make sure that there are no surprises, which is another Radiohead song.
Very clever. And I totally agree, Garth. I mean, actually, I take that a step farther. I think it's more than hiring the right people. It's about hiring the people who will thrive in your organization's culture.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
culture
for sure.
Congruence. And I don't think this is direct cultural alignment or hiring for groupthink, but I think cultural congruence is essential. And I bet we could do a whole episode just on that topic. Like maybe we'll call it hiring the Lasso way. And maybe we should bring in like an HR professional or two to talk about what that looks like. I think it'd be pretty sharp. What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that'd be great. I do want to do a callback to one of our first guests, and my professor, Dr. Kathy Bishop from Royal
Right.
Roads University, talked a lot about cultural congruency, distributed leadership, those types of things. So if you haven't had it, give that a listen. There you go.
All right. Do you mind if I suggest a leadership challenge based on this episode?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Okay. Now that I've had a minute to think about it, I think I'll offer 3 for today. Some of them are callbacks to previous episodes, previous thinking, but I think this episode in particular really does highlight some of these leadership challenges. So first, inspired by instinct, do something with your immediate team that takes you out of your comfort zone. Learn to juggle, curl, cook.
Karaoke, buddy.
Or do karaoke. I know we've talked about this before, so I'm not really counting it as an official challenge. Secondly,
Fair enough.
And this is a hard one, so it's not an official challenge, but I love when Nate is talking about wanting to be the boss. Remember that? And Beard counters with a metaphor. And I quote from the show because it is such good writing. We used to believe that trees compete against each other for light. Susan Simard's field work challenged the perception, and we now realize that the forest is a socialist community. Trees work in harmony to share the sunlight. And Nate says, can't you just give me a straight answer? And Roy Kent says, he just did. Aren't you listening? So I think thinking in metaphors can be such a powerful leadership tool in our own metacognition, but also in our communication. Thinking deeply about how you see organization in metaphorical sense. Are they like a forest? Are they like the expanse of space? Or are they like a Swiss wristwatch? How can you share this metaphor with your team or community to inspire them?
I love that. I'm going to call back to Dr. Kathy Bishop again, because she has her doctorate in leadership and performance theater. And we actually had to do this at Royal Roads University. So a bunch of adults, not all educators. I was the only educator in the room, but she asked us to do some performance theater. Imagine an organization as one of them was imagine an organization as a system, imagine an organization as chaos, and then imagine organization as like an organic being. I think those were the 3. If any of my colleagues are out there still listening, remind me. But it was a brilliant exercise because you got a sense of what that felt like. The other thing it brings up for me is you may not know this, but I do love trees. I'm really interested in all things trees, and that actually began when I read Braiding Sweetgrass by Kimmerer. An amazing tribute to trees in and of themselves. There's a couple of great books out there as well. But also when I was with students in Nairobi, we were in the Masai Mara, and we were sitting there underneath this beautiful tree, and our guides, the Masai elder, was telling us about how important this tree was to everything. And it was such a great metaphor for all the things that we were doing. Anyway, amazing. But you have one more. Sorry, you have one more. Challenge. So what is it? The official one.
My official challenge, and this is a bit of a callback to what we've talked about in previous episodes as well, but has to do with the undercurrent in this episode. It is the notion of writing notes. We see Sharon leave everyone a deep and detailed goodbye note. We see Ted respond with a note at the pub when he leaves without notice. He leaves a note just simply saying goodbye. And as you mentioned before, with a pint and an army figure in it. I'd like to challenge our listeners to write a kind note to someone they care about. Let them know why you care, or when someone is on your mind, send them a text just to let them know that you're thinking about them.
Oh, I love that. Let's do that. And speaking of which, let's go to the renaming of the episode. So this was originally titled Midnight Train to Royston. I'm going to offer that we rename it to It's in the Letter. What about you?
I like that, Garth. I'm going to choose Goodbye Notes. Okay, and I think it fits nicely because notes that are provided in this episode, and the fact that music is made up of notes.
Nice.
Notes and notes.
Very clever.
But Garth, do you mind if I share why this is so important to me this week?
Yeah, of course.
Okay,
I feel
so
like
recently.
I was just gonna say, like, you and I have talked a little bit about this over the last sort of week or so. So yeah, let's hear it.
And recently, I lost a close friend. He passed away suddenly of a stroke. His name's Terry Hoganson. And I taught and worked with him for over a decade, and we were very, very, very close friends. He was too young and too vibrant for us to see this coming. He didn't live in Calgary anymore, where I'm at. And I talked to him occasionally, and we texted from time to time. However, it'd been about 3 months since I talked to him. And now he's gone, Garth. And I'm struggling, honestly, with regret. And regret that, we weren't in touch a little bit more often. I didn't, call him or text him when I was thinking about him. And so I just encourage our listeners, to avoid this, because it's a terrible feeling. And don't waste a moment. Remember to stay in touch with those you care about and let them know that you care. So that's why I think Goodbye Notes is a pretty important title.
Yeah, no argument from me, my friend. Hey, thanks for sharing that. That's and it's important, because I know it really will impact your life. So appreciate that you're sharing that with us, and that leaders have to do hard things, right? And dealing with loss is a big one.
Well, if you don't mind, Garth, I'm going to bring this home.
Yeah.
And I'd like to take a moment just before we close and dedicate today's show to my dear friend, Terry Hoganson. Terry, you're an incredible leader who we lost too soon. You always lead the Lasso way. And for the rest of the days, I'll continue to do that kind of in your memory. And so this show is dedicated to you. And for all of our listeners, until next time, we hope that you too keep leading the Lasso way.
That's beautiful.
Bye for now.
Bye. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you, Garth.